The weather outside is frightful, and so are these books. Let's get started. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Zach with Zacks Books, and today I've got for you kind of like a winter book recommendation video. Books that are more like centered around like winter, Christmas, snowy vibes, just stuff like that. These are horror books. I think there are a couple of thrillers involved as well. I think there's one like supernatural kind of book in here too. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. And let's start talking about books. The first one I'm going to talk about is called No Exit by Taylor Adams. This book was pretty interesting. What happened is there's this truck stop. It's either a truck stop or a gas station. But a group of people get trapped in there because of a snowstorm. And one of the women who get trapped in the building, when they're walking up, they happen to look inside of a van and they see a little kid in the back seat, like in a cage or something like that. Or they're like trapped inside of the truck. They get inside and you know, everyone's just kind of like introducing themselves, like, you know, what's your name, what's it, and I think one of the guys who drives the car like slips up and says that they have, that like one of the, like him and the other guy, like that's their truck, and the woman's like, shit, okay, well now I figured out who it is. A whole bunch of other stuff happens. It comes down to kind of like a last battle between her and the two guys. A bunch of people end up getting killed. You kind of get a twist ending with it too, which is pretty cool. But yeah, overall, check out my Goodreads for my reviews on these books. There are a couple I have not read, but the ones I have, I'm pretty sure I've done reviews on them. But check out the Goodreads down below. That'll give you a little bit more insight on these books. So, but yeah, No Exit, Taylor Adams. It's a pretty good book. Alright, the next one on my list is a Stephen King classic, Misery. This book was really good. It made my top 10 Stephen King books of all time after I read The Green Mile, putting it at number 10. So what makes this book really cool is the aspect of you feel bad for this guy. He's a writer. He gets in a car accident because of the winter storm, and he gets captured by his all-time favorite fan, Annie Wilkes. And so she's a retired nurse, or she was like dismissed for like bad behavior. She did some bad shit, and now she's trying to take care of her favorite author, Paul Sheldon. And so a bunch of stuff happens. You find out that she is like really crazy. Like Paul Sheldon figures it out, and the reason why she's crazy, like against him and keeping him more captive, is because he writes the Misery series books, and in the last book he's tired of writing about the Misery stuff. He wants to move on to something better, and so he kills off the main character in his book. Well, she gets the manuscript for it, reads it, and loses her shit, and it's bad. There's a pretty graphic scene where she cuts off his leg so he can't, stumping I think is what the procedure is called. I can't remember. If you remember, let me know in the comments down below. I don't remember what the procedure is called. I think it's called stumping or something like that. But that's what she does to him, and you think at one point he gets rescued, but then something happens. It's just a really eerie book. It would be higher on my Stephen King list if it wasn't for the little interludes. That is a warning I will give you guys, is there are like little interludes of the book she wants him to write, and so you'll be going with the story, there'll be a break, and then he'll be talking about misery, like in the story that he's writing for her to like bring misery back to life. And I thought that was really annoying, but otherwise, besides that, it's a really solid book. I do highly recommend it. So that's Misery, Stephen King. Next one up is Nosferatu by Joe Hill. This one was really odd. It was really creepy. You also kind of got that Stephen King feeling with this because it's Joe Hill, it's his son. But I really enjoyed it. The whole premise of like Christmas Land, where like this weird creature comes in a wraith vehicle and takes children to a place called Christmas Land, abducts them, and like brainwashes them all, and they turn into like little murderous things. It was really creepy. I forget what the name of the main character was in the story, because there's a lot of names to try and remember in this book. But it was really creepy. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave this one 5 stars. Again, check out Goodreads. It was really creepy. There's like an add-on like graphic novel called Wraith that kind of goes more in depth with like the evil character in the book who captures the people. The guy's name is like Charles Manx or something like that. I think that's the bad guy. But he's the guy who drives around in the Wraith and captures the children. But yeah, really exciting book. I really liked it. Obviously, with it being Christmas Land, it's very obvious it's around Christmas time. So, good book to read. This was my first Joe Hill book too, so it's a good one to start on. So, highly recommend this one. Very good book. The next one I'm going to talk about is on my all-time favorite Stephen King list at number 2, and that is The Shining. This is very wintry. Do not contradict me and tell me I'm wrong, because he's looking after the Overlook Hotel in the winter season in Colorado, and they get snowed in, so y'all can't tell me it's not winter related. But this book is really good. I can talk for hours on end about this damn thing. So I'll try and sum it up a little bit shorter. Jack Torrance is a recovering alcoholic who takes on the role of the caretaker for the Overlook Hotel in the winter season when it is closed down. He and his wife Wendy and their son Danny go up to the hotel, and Danny has this power called the Shining, but he doesn't know it's called the Shining until he meets Dick Halloran, who is the head chef at the Overlook, who also has got the shine. And so he pretty much keeps getting told like bad things happen at the Overlook. Don't go to the Overlook. It's bad. And obviously Jack accepts. He goes, and you kind of get this really bad, eerie sense of cabin fever. The book differs from the movie because Jack Torrance in the movie, which is played by Jack Nicholson, he just kind of comes off right away as like an asshole and someone you don't really want to like. I still really like him though, but that's me. But in the book, you kind of get more of a sense of him being a caring, loving father at the beginning, and then he descends really bad, like in the middle or like 3/4 of the way through the book. But again, a really good book. I can't wait to reread this thing because I really want to. So, highly rated book, 5 stars, without a doubt. So, The Shining, I'd give it a read. The next one I'm going to talk about is the little novella that inspired the movie The Thing with Kurt Russell, and that's Who Goes There by John W. Campbell. So this is about a group of Atlantic expedition people from the U.S. who are doing an Atlantic expedition in the winter. They're kind of camped in a base, and what happens is on one of their trips they uncover this creature in the ice, and not too far from it is a spaceship. And so you kind of get that UFO creepy sci-fi experience with this book as well. But the gift this creature has, known as the Thing, is it can take the form of anybody like perfectly. So it can imitate me perfectly. The only thing it can't, which you find out in the prequel movie, is it can't do like metal objects. Like if you have a gold tooth or a silver tooth, it can't imitate that. It can only do body things. So if you have like a gold plate in your leg, it's not going to be able to do that. But it does do all the like just regular body stuff. So it imitates a person perfectly. Sounds like him, looks like him, you know, all that stuff. But it kills the person in the process. So I really enjoyed this book. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars. I highly recommend it. It's very winter related because it's all out in the Arctic. But really cool book. Really enjoyed it. I would give it a read. It's nice and short. It only took me maybe like an hour or two to read the thing. So, good book. Good movie too. Next on my list is the last Stephen King book that I can think of that's winter related, and I just read it recently. And that is Dreamcatcher. This book was really cool. I really enjoyed it. Not a lot of people talk about it as much as a favorite, actually, which I find weird. I think a lot of people hate it because of all the fart jokes and the shit weasels and all the weird stuff. But at the time, you got to realize that Stephen King was like really doped out on drugs because of his car accident he was in, like while he was in the middle of writing this thing. So, and you can tell that there was a change in narrative. At the beginning, you're kind of like, hey, this group of 4 friends, and this shit starts going down. And then all of a sudden, it's like all government-based, and you kind of lose the track of the friendship, and that's at least how I felt. There was a big change in the narrative. But I also really enjoyed the book still, even with that change and all the fart jokes and shit weasels and stuff like that. I gave it 4.5 stars, I think. I didn't give it the 5 because there's a word they kept using in the book that I really don't like. But otherwise, really solid book. This group of 4 friends are up hunting, and they're in a winter cabin, and all hell breaks loose pretty much. The whole entire like world starts getting invaded by aliens, and they're like right in the middle of the big quarantine section. One of the friends gets taken over by one of them. Really cool book. I highly recommend it. This book and 2 out of the next 5 I'm going to talk about are going to be part of another video. I don't know if it's going to be up before this video or after that video, so stay tuned for that one if you have not seen it yet, or if it's going to be after this. I don't know yet. But yeah, Streamcatcher, really solid book. I really recommend it. Alright, the next one I'm going to talk about is called One by One by Ruth Ware. So this book is kind of a hit or miss for people. A lot of the reviews I've seen, it's either been a 1 or 2, a DNF, or it's 4 or 5. Nothing really in the middle ground, so be ready to have to make a rash decision on whether you like the book or hate it. Not a lot of people are middle ground on this. Luckily, I'm someone who enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars, 4.25, something like that. This is another one that's going to be featured in the other video, a Dreamcatcher, so I'll have more in-depth analysis stuff on the book there. But I really enjoyed this. Like a phone company called Snooped all takes like this big skiing vacation trip somewhere, and something ends up happening to one of them. They go missing out in the snow when a blizzard hits, and then there's like confusion within the group and distrust, and then another body shows up where somebody's dead, and everyone's trying to figure out who the hell did it. It was somebody who I didn't guess right away, but it was still a surprise for me. Once you kind of get in the last like 150-ish pages, once they split up towards the end, you'll guess who it is right away. It is told by the same narrator but different perspectives, so try not to get thrown off or confused with that. When I listened to another audiobook that I would have put in this list, The Hunting Party, that is also winter related, the non-change in narrative really threw me off in there, but for this one it worked, so that's why this is on the list and the other one is not. I still really enjoyed this. Highly recommend it. 4 stars. It's kind of a surprise book too. I didn't really expect to enjoy it, and I did. So, yay. But yeah, that's One by One by Ruth Ware. The next one I'm going to talk about is An Unwanted Guest by Sherry Lapina. I read this a little while ago with Danielle. We actually did this as a buddy read, and we both gave it 4 stars, I think. So it's another like one of those whodunit clue kind of vibe books, like One by One. Group of people. Some of them are married couples. Some of them are single. Go to this lodge for, you know, a winter trip, winter getaway. Then a big blizzard hits, and it, you know, all electricity is cut off, all their phone lines, like everything is cut off. They can't contact anybody. You kind of get more of that Clue vibe because some people actually know each other within the group, and that's where the kind of murder thing kind of starts, is somebody knows somebody and, you know, they murder them, and then it just kind of keeps going, and it's really cool. I really enjoyed the book. Danielle liked it too. Highly recommend this book. There's another Sherry Lapina book that I really enjoyed, but it's not winter related, so I'm not going to talk about it. So, but yeah, this was a good book. I would highly recommend it. Give it a read. The next one I'm going to talk about is The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. So this is going to be also part of One by One and Dreamcatcher with the winter reading vlog that I have planned. So this book got 5 stars from me. It's about, there's 2 different time periods. You're in 1908 and present day, which I forget what present day is in the book. But it's pretty much, it's not Dreamcatcher, it's Pet Sematary. You get Pet Sematary vibes with this because it's about a little girl who dies in 1908. The mother's freaking out, thinks the father did it, but she also hears from somebody that you can bring the dead back by doing this. So she does that, and the daughter comes back, the dad's freaking out, and then you go to present day, and there's like a whole family timeline of all this shit that happens, and then you find out the big twist at the end. Then the last like 50, 100 pages, you kind of get this, kind of like this twist of like, shit, okay. Didn't expect that, and I really enjoyed it, really liked the book. You can kind of make a guess if you really wanted to as to how it kind of goes towards the end, but I was clueless for a good chunk of it until I got towards the end. I'm like, okay, well that's probably what's going to happen. But I really recommend it, 5 stars for me. Alright, so the last 2 I'm going to talk about are ones that I've seen good reviews on, these 2 I've not read yet, but I've heard really good things about them, and I really want to give them a read. Danielle suggested them to me. There was one that I owned before that I knew was going to be kind of decent, but I never really put forth effort into reading it. But the first one I'm going to talk about is The Snowman by Joe Nesbo. So what I understand about this is at least the first thing that I remember is a kid gives his mom a scarf, and then the mom disappears, and then like the day after, like a snowman appears in his front yard with the same scarf that he got his mom. So I don't know if that means somebody killed her and built a snowman and put the scarf on it, or if she turned into a snowman, or what the hell happened. But it sounds very interesting, and I want to give it a read. Joe Nesbo's got a bunch of other books out, and maybe this is an author I might get into after I read this one. Like I said, I'm doing a reading vlog with some winter books. Maybe I'll do these 2 together, and maybe we'll do a part 2. Depends on how long the snow's on the ground for this year. Who knows? Drop a like if you want to see part 2 for that video. Who knows? The Snowman, Joe Nesbo, sounds really interesting, and I cannot wait to read it. Alright, so the last one I'm going to talk about is The Terror by Dan Simmons. This one pops up a lot when you type in like horror winter books or like scary winter books. By what I understand, this is about like an expedition team in the Arctic, and some weird stuff happens. I think there's some kind of creature who ends up going after all of them. This is actually an AMC series 2, which I have not seen that. But I hear a lot of good things about this, and like I said, it's one of the top rated books that come up when you search like creepy like winter books or like horror winter books. It's one of the top ones that pops up. So I want to give this a read. I've heard a lot of good things about it too. So I'm intrigued with it. It's a little bit on the thicker side, but that's fine. But yeah, I can't wait to read this one too. Maybe that'll be part of the Joe Nesbo thing. Who knows? We have plans. Maybe. Not really. But yes, The Terror sounds really interesting. Can't wait to read it. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Those are my winter books I recommend for you this year. They all are really cool. Really enjoyed them. Can't wait to read the other 2 I have not read yet. What are some winter books that intrigue you the most? Let me know in the comments down below. What are some ones that I missed that you think I should read? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Later.